Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Today I want to talk about the best way to be grateful to elevate relationships. When you do things for other people, you share referrals, contacts, information, opportunities, encouragement. You should be grateful. You should express gratitude for that. Most people that's one of those statements that most people kind of roll their eyes at. Of course, I need to say thank you. And most people do. A lot of people do. A lot of people don't, I find, as well. And I don't ever look for it necessarily. But it's always nice for me when somebody says thank you, because it's a great follow-up to know that, okay, that worked out, or it didn't work out. It didn't work out, and this is why. Great, I can reframe what I'm doing or how I'm doing it for you to be more effective for you, or at least understand that what I'm doing isn't working, and maybe I just need to recalibrate how I'm trying to help you. So thanking people is effective from that standpoint. I don't sit and wait for thank yous as a matter of course and to keep score, put it that way. But we should be thanking people when people do things for us. And I think I have a saying that everything I say, I need to hear. And so this is not, I say that to you because I'm not preaching. A lot of these things I need to kind of take in internally as well. I need to do a better job of thanking people. And so we need to make expressing gratitude a priority, but how we express gratitude is important. And there are certain ways of doing it that are more fruitful in terms of keeping good things coming your way. In other words, if you do something for somebody and they take the time to thank you, you've kind of subconsciously spurred them on to do more. And it's just human nature. And if I do something for somebody I never hear back, it's like, it's out of sight, out of mind. But when somebody goes to great lengths to say, hey, thank you, that was a great podcast guest for me. Okay, great. I'm happy for you. I'm happy to worked out for the other person too, I would imagine. Awesome. But how we thank people will determine the level of relationship that we have. And so I want to talk about three general ways of expressing gratitude. And then we're kind of going to be doing a little bit of an experiment here, because I'm going to be asking you, what would you want? Certainly the first way of expressing gratitude is just having somebody express appreciation. It's a simple thank you. And again, many don't even take the time to do that. Maybe that thank you is in the form of an email. Maybe it's a handwritten note or a letter or something like that. If you ever came to my office, I have stapled to the wall every thank you note I've ever gotten. And it's a lot. It's a lot of thank you notes. I'm probably upwards of about 300. I stopped counting at one point. It's a lot. They're just ringing the wall. And this is my office, so I have to worry about security deposit. But there's a lot of holes in the wall. I have a industrial grade stapler. I just staple them to the wall. But that's certainly one way of expressing thank you is just to write a note or email. Maybe call somebody and say, hey, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think any of those are great. The second way of expressing gratitude is some form of payment, some sort of compensation. And I'm not talking necessarily a gift card, or I get a lot of thank yous with gift cards or Starbucks cards or stuff like that. But people will take the time and they'll pay you as a thank you. Now let me preface all of this. There are some people who try to set that stuff up on the front end. I'll have people who will come to me and say, hey, listen, you're really well connected. I'm putting this program together. It's, the fee is $1,000, and if for every person you get to sign up, I'll pay you $100. My general response to those things are, yeah, I'm not really interested. Partially because it feels like I'm a sales rep for somebody, um, and partially because, well, if I'm going to refer you, I just want to refer you. Um, yeah, you thank me if you will, but I want to refer you because I think you're the right person for the position, or the engagement or whatever it is. That's why I'm referring you. I'm not referring somebody because I'm going to get $100 or something like that. And that's kind of my problem with respect to those sorts of arrangements, is that, well, God forbid your client or the person you're referring found out. Are you referring me to this person because you're getting compensated, or you think they're good for me? Now, some people will say, well, I make it known on the front end I'm being compensated. And I guess that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of this stuff. It's just what your level of comfort is. And I'm just not comfortable with it. I would just as soon refer people. But there are people who I've referred and they have, compensated me, not in a big way, not life changing, but in a decent way. And it kind of always, takes me back. It's like, oh my gosh, wow. Um, the name I did a short video on this, Chaz Horn. He sent me a FedEx box. And I didn't know it was coming, but I'd referred him to somebody. Apparently, it turned into a client. He sent me a FedEx box, um, that had a lockbox in it with a key, and you open up the lockbox, and it was full of dollar bills. I won't say how many dollar bills. It doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there. But it certainly got my attention, and he drove home the point that he appreciates me, and that's what I mean by compensating. It's like, here's money. I did really well. Here's some stuff for you. Now I will probably refer Chaz again. I don't expect anything like that. Once is enough. That's fine. I, when I refer somebody or I make an introduction, I certainly make it for the benefit. I make it for the benefit of both parties. And so, I'm not really expecting those sorts of things, but it is a way that people certainly express gratitude, is some sort of compensation. The third way is what I call time. They thank you with time, and they take the time to find ways to help you. Um, if you've given them a referral, then they're leaning into figuring out how they can refer you. Um, if you connect them to an opportunity, then they're trying to figure out ways to connect you to opportunities. Um, you know, or they're encouraging you to be successful. And it takes time to do those things. It takes time to really sit down and say, okay, how can I help somebody? How can I really help somebody? Now, just expressing appreciation, saying thank you, yeah, that's nice. It doesn't take a lot of time, and I'm not belittling it at all. There are people who don't even do that. Um, and then there are people who, again, will compensate, and then there are others who will take the time to really lean into what you're all about. Basically saying, hey, Frank, thank you very much for the referral you gave me or the introduction you made. That's really having a big impact on what I'm about. I really want to figure out who I could be introducing you to. Who do you want to be talking to? Now, of those three, expressing appreciation, compensation, or time, which of those three do you value most? This is the little experiment. Each of you have a sample size of one to answer that question. What do you want out of those three? And I think it kind of goes in, well, um, for me, for me, it's time. I want I want to help people, and I want to really try and figure out how I can help people. And I value their expressions of appreciation, but the best form of appreciation or gratitude that they can express to me is leaning into figuring out what I'm about. Um, and if you're honest with yourself, it's kind of the same thing. If you do something for somebody and they give you, a few $100s because it was a big deal, that's great. A few $100s doesn't really change the trajectory of where you're headed. The few $100s is, may go to the bank. It may be spent. It may be, whatever. Um, but it's gone. It's eventually gone. When I got the money from Chaz Horn, I sat down with my assistant and we counted it out and I gave her half. Here, you take half. I mean, I think the other half I have in a bucket behind me. One way over here, whatever. Um, and, I appreciate it. But what we really value is the things that kind of move our businesses forward, because those things have a lasting impact. What's the lifetime value of a client? If you're a coach, you're a consultant, if you've got a business, if you're a web designer, maybe even a realtor, there's a lifetime value to that client. And if somebody's leaning in to help you find another client, again, thank you for expressing appreciation. But if you're leaning in to help me find that next client, um, the value of that I don't, is almost immeasurable. Some people can, measure it. I don't know, an AmSpirit business connection, somebody referring me a member, they could be a member for the next 20, 25 years. I don't know what I'm sure there's an average and I can figure it out. Um, Probably should figure it out, but there's a tremendous value to that. And you can't even really start to keep track of all the people that they're bringing in, referrals from referrals from referrals. It's easy to lose track of it in a hurry. And so, for me, I love best when people express their gratitude in time and really sitting down and trying to figure out how it is I can help them. And those are the relationships I want to have. Now, if you're honest with yourself, you're probably coming out the same way. Hearing thank you is nice. Getting a few $100s is nice. But somebody leaning into how they can help you, that's once they've learned how they can help you, that really never goes away. They'll help you once, they'll help you twice. It just gets easier and easier and easier over time. So the point I'm trying to make in all of this is, now that you've kind of are clear on what it is that you want in the form of gratitude from the people you're helping. And if you're like me, and I would assume many of you are like me, you want people to really understand how they can help you in return, whatever that is. And it's not an easy thing to try and figure these things out. Some people it's easier than others, but for some it's not an easy thing and it takes time. And that's what I mean by they're expressing gratitude in time because they are devoting time to figuring out how they can help you get your business to the next level. So if you're like me and that's what you yearn for in in business, is somebody to be grateful to you in by committing time to you, that's what you need to be doing for people in return. That's what you need to be doing for people, because that's how you build relationships. The people in my life that have really leaned into trying to figure out how to help me, those are the people that stick around. Those are the people I keep around, I guess is a better way of putting it. So if I want to keep people in my life, what I need to do is I need to express gratitude in a much similar way. I need to provide them time. I need to sit and I need to look and think about, okay, what would be a good opportunity for them? Yeah, I can make some introductions, and some introductions are better than others. I need to really kind of dial into how I can actually move their business forward. Sometimes it might be clients, sometimes it might be information. For me, learning how to do these LinkedIn lives has been, really immeasurable. I'm meeting lots of people, and and lots of good things are coming from it. So that time that people shared with me on the front end, Lisa Raymond, James Van Proyen, some other people who helped me on the front end, is really kind of immeasurable, and I need to try and figure out how to help them in return. So the best way to express gratitude, my opinion, is share your time. Lean into what they're about and really try to understand how you can help them. Certainly thank them. If you want to send them money, that's great. But the best way you can help them, the one with the most impact, is to share your time and be very intentional about devoting time to understanding how you can help them best.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.